In our last video, we have learned about dark reaction. Today we will study about photorespiration. Children, photorespiration is a light-dependent cyclic process of oxygenation of RUBP and release of carbon dioxide by the photosynthetic organs of the plant. The site of photorespiration is chloroplast. Mitochondria and peroxisome are also required for completing the process of photorespiration. RUBP carboxylase oxygenase is the main enzyme of dark reaction. It catalyzes another reactions that interferes with the functioning of Kelvin cycle. It has active site for both, that is carbon dioxide and oxygen. The relative concentration of carbon dioxide and oxygen determines which of the two will bind to the enzyme. Under the conditions when oxygen concentration is more in atmosphere than carbon dioxide, then in C3 plants, Rubisco acts as oxygenase enzyme and CO2 fixation does not lead to PGA formation. Instead, there will be formation of phosphoglycerate and phosphoglycolate. Thus, the photorespiratory pathway is called a wasteful process because of two reasons. Number one is there is no synthesis of sugar and ATP or NADPH, and number two is the CO2 is released with the utilization of ATP. On the other hand, the process of photorespiration does not take place in C4 plants because through a certain mechanism the CO2 concentration increases at the enzyme site. This happens when the C4 acid, that is OAA, oxaloacetic acid, from the mesophyll cells tends to be broken down in the bundle sheet cells, releasing carbon dioxide, thereby increasing the intracellular concentration of CO2. Hence, the RUBP carboxylase enzyme, Rubisco, functions more as carboxylase, minimizing the role of oxygenase. As C4 plants lack the process of photorespiration, the productivity and yields in these plants are better than those in C3 plants. In addition, these plants show tolerance to higher temperatures. Now let us study difference between C3 and C4 plants. Photosynthesis occurs in mesophyll cells in C3 plants, whereas in C4 plants in mesophyll and bundle sheet cells. In C3 plants, Crane's anatomy is absent, whereas it is present in C4 plants. In C3 plants, RUBP is the primary carbon dioxide acceptor, whereas in C4 plant, PEP, phosphoenol pyruvate, is the primary carbon dioxide acceptor. In C3 plants, 3-PGA, that is 3-phosphoglyceric acid, a 3-carbon compound, is the first stable product, whereas in C4 plant, it is OAA, that is a 4-carbon containing compound, which is the first stable product. OAA is oxaloacetic acid. In C3 plants, chloroplasts are of only one type, that is granule, and in C4 plants, chloroplasts are dimorphic, granule in mesophyll and agranule in bundle sheet. In C3 plants, photorespiratory loss is high, whereas in C4 plant, photorespiration is absent or negligible. In C3 plants, high CO2 compensation point, whereas in C4 it is low CO2 compensation point. In C3 plants, optimum temperature for photosynthesis is about 25 centimeter, whereas that for C4 plants is about 35 to 45 degrees Celsius. In C3 it is 25 degrees Celsius, okay. Then in C3 plants, photosynthetically less efficient and productivity is low, whereas C4 plants are photosynthetically more efficient and productivity is high. C3 plants are rice, wheat, bean, potato, whereas C4 plants are maize, sugarcane, amaranth, sorghum. So that is about difference between C3 and C4 plants. Now we will study about factors affecting photosynthesis. The rate of photosynthesis is essential in determining the plant's yield, including the crop plants. It is generally influenced by the number of factors, including both external, that is environmental, and internal, that is plant factors. And let us study about this internal and external factors. The internal or plant factors greatly depend on the genetic predisposition and basically the growth of the plant. This include the number, size, age, orientation of leaves, chlorophyll content, internal concentration of CO2, mesophyll cells and chloroplast. Whereas if we talk of external factors, these factors generally include an environmental factor like availability of sunlight, temperature, concentration of carbon dioxide and water. Hence, factors available at suboptimal levels help in determining the rate of photosynthesis at any point. Now, concept of limiting factors. Blackman's law of limiting factor was given in 1905. The concept is, if a biochemical process is affected by more than one factor, its rate is determined by the factor nearest to its minimal value. It is the factor which directly affects the process if its quantity is changed. For example, a plant with green leaf, optimum light and CO2 may not photosynthesize in very low temperature. If optimal temperature is given, it will start photosynthesizing. Now let us study how the light affects photosynthesis. Light quality, light intensity and duration of exposure to light influences photosynthesis process. There is linear relationship between incident light and carbon dioxide fixation rate at low light intensities. At higher light intensities, the rate does not further increase because other factors becomes limiting. Light saturation occurs at 10% of the full sunlight. Hence, except for plants in shade or in the dense forest, light is rarely a limiting factor in nature. High increase in incident light breaks down chlorophyll and as a result it decreases the photosynthesis process. Now carbon dioxide. Major limiting factor for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide concentration. Children, CO2 concentration is very low in atmosphere. It is about 0.03% to 0.04%. If increase up to 0.05% can cause increase in CO2 fixation rate. But beyond this limit, it becomes damaging for over longer periods. At low light conditions, C3 and C4 plant do not respond to high CO2 conditions. At high light intensity, they show increased rate of photosynthesis. C4 plant shows saturation at about 360 m per liter. C3 plants respond to increased CO2 concentration and saturation is seen only beyond 450 m per liter. Thus, current availability of carbon dioxide levels is limiting to C3 plants. Due to response to higher CO2 concentration, C3 plants show increased photosynthesis and higher productivity. This fact is used for some greenhouse crops like tomatoes, bell pepper, and they are grown in CO2 enriched atmosphere that leads to higher yields. Now, temperature is also one of the factor which affects the photosynthesis. Dark reaction is enzymatic and temperature control. Influence of temperature on light reaction is very less. The C4 plants respond to higher temperature and show high rate of photosynthesis. C3 plants have much lower temperature optimum. Means at lower temperature also they can function. The temperature optimum of plants also depend on their habitat. Tropical plants have a higher temperature optimum than the plants adapted to temperate climates. Now let us see how water affects photosynthesis. Water stress, when there is stress of water in the plant, the stomata will close, and as a result the carbon dioxide availability will also reduce. Due to stress of water, the leaves will wilt, which reduce the surface area of the leaves, and their metabolic activity also reduces. Okay, so children, that is all about the factors affecting photosynthesis, and here we have completed our chapter also. I hope you all have understood this chapter very well. In our next video, we will be starting with our new chapter, that is 14th chapter, respiration in plants. Okay, thank you.